That was it. It was gone.
He's kind of a big guy. And something happened where he wasn't able to take a good breath, or he somehow ingested enough seawater that made him violently ill. As my father continued to vomit and lose more and more of his.
I didn't want to die. I knew that if I didn't get away, he was going to kill me, and there was no getting away.
There was nothing left of my leg below the knee. It was the only way I was going to get free. I was going to have to cut my leg off.
I just felt that I wasn't supposed to do that I wasn't supposed to die. They closed the door and they drove away. They left me in the snow to die.
He took me around to the back of the car, and he knocked on the trunk to see if my ex-boyfriend was still in there, and there was no answer. Then he said, "Do you think that he's asleep, or do you think that he's dead?" As frantic as I was just, he's asleep. He has to be asleep. He can't be dead. He has to be asleep. And he never opened the trunk. He took me around to the front of the car where he raped me again. I was constantly negotiating with him, talking, trying to figure out what was going on. As I was pleading with him, my words were, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about your personal life. I don't know anything about your family. I kept trying to instill in his mind that I was absolutely in the dark and I had no clue, and to please at least tell me what I'd done. Why are you doing this? Why me? Why? He never gave me any reason as to why it was happening, except he felt as though he was being set up. He thought that I knew that he had drugs or that I was going to get him into trouble. He beat me until I was unconscious quite a few times. He laid me down in front of the car and tried to run me over, but I came to quick enough to crawl out of the way, and it was like he couldn't do what he was trying to do. He was trying to get rid of me, and he couldn't. I was unconscious, and I came to. He was above me, and he was holding a screwdriver, and I knew I'd been stabbed because it had blood on it, and he was trying to find other places to where he could puncture me. And I had made the decision to play dead. I knew he was doing something, and he was moving really fast, and I just kind of glanced over at my car, and he was wiping his fingerprints off of the steering wheel, the door handles, the trunk, everything. He was done with that, and I guess he decided that it wasn't good enough, that he had to finish off what he had started. He was still hitting me in the head, so I'm sure I blacked out a couple of times. And he was just, because the town is so small that I would know where we were anywhere he turned. He was going down roads and turning around, doing U-turns, and I don't know how I remember this, but I remember him backing my car into his driveway, and he came out with a gas can. He put me into the trunk, and that's when I realized that Brandon wasn't there. He poured gas on me, and that's when he lit the fire. He closed the trunk, and it was one big whoosh of fire. He knew I was alive then because I screamed. The whole time that I was on fire, he was pouring gas on the rest of my car. He then set my car on fire. I heard it go up in flames, and the only thing I could think of was my gas tank is going to blow up, and it's right underneath my head.
First of all, he's not smart because why would you take that fight to your house?
I took the first step with what was my right leg, and I fell flat on my face. Then I started crawling. I knew I had to get in front of the engine. My truck was 50 yards away, but I was concerned about having to be able to get up into the truck, and not sure about whether that was possible. Even though I was closer to my truck, I thought my better chance of getting help was making my way to the highway, which is twice as far away as my truck. So I started crawling, much like you would under ropes, army type of crawl, using my arms and what I could with my left leg. I looked down, and blood was gushing out of my leg, the open wound. It was just going everywhere. I knew I was going to have to try to restrict the flow of blood out of my limb. And that's when I pulled my belt off, wrapped it around what was left of my leg, found a piece of driftwood and twisted it, and got the pressure strong enough, hopefully, to where it would restrict the flow of blood. I was really in fear of my life, and at moments would still have thoughts of my family. How would my wife make it without me? How would my brothers
Hold on.